can I just allow magic to find me wherever I am? And can I trust that wherever I am and whatever I'm experiencing is actually meant for me to experience? And can I practice feeling the abundant joy in that experience, even if it's not blissful? Can I still access bliss?
Welcome to the Stay Grounded podcast. I'm your host, Raj Jana, founder of Liberate, and it's my mission to help you become the most grounded, loving, and authentic version of yourself that you can be. Each week, I interview experts in the fields of mindset, spirituality, and emotional well-being. My brilliant guests share their tools, stories, and unique perspectives to help you develop the skills you need to show up fully for the people and things that matter most in your life. Now let's dive in.
Yo, what's up everyone, and welcome to this special episode of Stay Grounded with me wearing a kimono that I was wearing every single day at an event I just got back from called Burning Man. If you don't know what Burning Man is, I'm going to give you a quick recap here. Burning Man is a multi-week long immersive experience where 80,000 people from all over the world fly to a desert in the middle of Nevada and build a city from scratch. They build roads and art installations and camps and homes. People come in their RVs and tents, and there's immersive workshops and fun, playful, quirky experiences. And it really is this mystical, magical place where human creativity comes to really birth things that are unique, innovative, and authentically themselves. And then at the end of the experience, the entire thing is taken down, art is burned down, and it's as if nobody was on the desert altogether. And this experience is wildly transformative for many reasons, and we talk about those on this podcast. We're going to be diving into, I went with my lovely partner, Natalie, and she's here joined with us. She's actually sitting right across from me right now. And we're going to be diving into all the lessons, principles, perspectives that Burning Man was unearthing in us, because it is a container of rich transformation. In fact, it's in my eyes, one of the most incredible spaces to grow and learn, because you're growing through play and you're growing through adventure and you're putting yourself inside of this environment that is so radically different from what we experience in the real world that it just transforms the nature of who you are. So I'm excited to dive in. Natalie, sweetheart, it's so great to be back on the mic with you. Mm-hmm. I love doing this off the mic, and this one's really special because it was your first experience at Burning Man. It was my second experience, and there was so much. Before we dive into the actual experience, maybe we start with Burning Man's not a thing that you just say yes to last minute. Or you
Where
could.
Is it?
You could, but it's something that, takes a lot of preparation and planning. We were prepping and planning and talking about it and building up to it, leading up to the event. And so I'd love to, before we dive into the experience itself, really talk about what were intentions. I'd love to hear your intention of what you wanted to experience going in, what you thought Burning Man was, and then let's set that stage, and then I'll share what my experience was, and then we can dive into kind of how the week of just play and mischief and mystery and adventure and surrender, really what that led to. So I think that's really ultimately what this podcast is for. So.
Yeah. I'm really glad we're doing this episode because there's so much to digest. So it feels really yummy to be able to close the loop on that whole experience with you.
Yeah.
And I actually, like you said, this is my first burn. I said yes to going to Burning Man before we even got together. So it's interesting because I had this sort of meta intention. And then as we got closer and closer and closer, it got a little bit more specific and present and fine-tuned. And so I would say for me, the macro intention was, it was almost about time that I went to Burning Man. I've been in burner communities for the last 5 years. Literally every one of my friends pretty much has gone to Burning Man. And this was the year to do it. It aligned, it was easy. And I had even though I was surrounded by so many burners, I didn't know really anything about Burning Man. I'd never watched a video. I'd never even really talked to people about their experiences. And so I literally had no idea what to expect, but I knew it was going to be an initiation. So that was really the main intention, was to allow myself to surrender to the altar of the playa and let myself be initiated. And then as we got closer and closer, and you synchronistically ended up being not only in our camp, but in our RV, like it really became clear for me that this burn was going to be about our relationship, like front and center. And remember that first night at Kiss when we did an intention ceremony with the whole camp and we looked at each other in the eyes, and like it became so clear that my forefront intention for Burning Man in terms of our relationship was to allow myself, I'm going to get emotional, was to allow myself to fall in love with you and to allow myself to be fully loved by you and just to allow that experience to exist.
Yeah, it's you know, for me, it's so powerful because these transformational containers, the intention that we set is almost like a spell we cast, right? Like it's like you say the intention, then all of a sudden the universe just kind of orchestrates the right moments, the right experiences, the right collection of magic for that intention to come alive. And it may not come alive in the way that we want it to come alive, but it always births the end result, in my experience at least. And for me, that was the same. Like I wasn't planning on going to Burning Man this year. I have a lot going on with business and work, and it's just everything was it's so much happening. And then we got together, and then somehow, some way, synchronistically ended up in the same camp, in the same RV, and like it was like the universe was orchestrating us to be there together. And my intention, in many ways, going into the burn, I feel like I've been on this bit of a journey this year. Specifically in the last 3 months, where, you know, I've been really asked to let go of control and let God take over the wheel and like really create with God, whether it's in relationship or business. It's like there's so many things that are showing up for me. Like, how deeply can I receive? And the playa, which for anyone listening is the word that's like kind of asynchronistic with Burning Man. It's like the dusty desert. And I think the playa, La Playa means beach.
It means beach, which is funny because we were like searching for a beach the whole time. It was the playa.
It was the playa. So we were on a beach in the middle of the desert. But anyways, there's something about that place where there's no rules. There's principles, which we'll talk about on this episode as well, which really moved both of us in many ways. There are principles of Burning Man. But there's no rules, and there's no need to be anywhere on time. There's no people we need to meet. It's like you actually get to practice surrendering control. And so for my intention was going in like, I just want to surrender control. My first Burning Man experience, I was trying to make events. I was trying to get places on time. I was trying to follow the book.
An itinerary.
The itinerary. And this one was like, no, can I just allow magic to find me wherever I am? And can I trust that wherever I am and whatever I'm experiencing is actually meant for me to experience? And can I practice feeling the abundant joy in that experience, even if it's not blissful? Can I still access bliss? And that was my intention. And I mean, just the first night, I just remembered allowing myself to fall so deeply in love with myself, with you, and like remove the veil of separation. Because I think there's something about the world that forces separation. I think the mind, especially like when we live inside of like, I don't know if you resonate with this, but this world that's created by the mind. And then when we take ourselves out of a world created by the mind and we put ourselves into a world created by our hearts, a true world that's birthed from creativity and authenticity. It's almost like all the programs that the mind was running on don't really work here. And that's what I was experiencing. I was experiencing a dissolution of ego, a dissolution of separation, a dissolution of needing to force anything. But then in that also, like you access deeper layers of you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'll just pause there and ping pong back to you.
Well, two things that are coming through is like one, Burning Man would not exist with the illusion of separation. Like we have to co-create and collaborate and create and weave the web together, radical self-reliance and cooperation and collaboration. Like it would fall apart if we infiltrated the modern world, especially like the American world of independence, into this society, And
I'm so glad you said that, because I think one of the biggest takeaways for me this burn was, being a part of Camp KISS, which is Keep It Simple, Sexy. That's like the name of our camp. And for those of you who haven't been to Burning Man, like camps are kind of like these little places where you can join a camp, and the camp has infrastructure. So they have like bathrooms and places to take showers, and in some camps, depending on the size and space, like they have food and they give, and ultimately one of the principles of Burning Man is radical gifting. So you can't actually buy anything at Burning Man, and everybody you talk to is there to give you something. And so the camps, all of us work together to gift something to others. So it really is this place of service. And this is the first time I was a part of a camp. My last Burning Man, I was a part of a camp that had maybe 25 people. So it was smaller, more familial. This was a camp with 250 people.
It was a community.
And everybody participated to build the camp. Like it was the most epic, extraordinary camp, being in the desert with like tea lounges and like we had a stage for performances, and people built this stuff. And it was so inspiring for me to be around people that are all, busy. They all have busy lives in the world, but they're devoting their time, energy, and effort to creating art and creating experiences so that other people that they don't even know can experience more joy. And that moved me. And that blend of radical self-reliance, which is one of the principles of Burning Man, with radical gifting. Yeah, totally. To experience that in action really shaped, it shifted the way I see I came back feeling more inspired and of service because of that experience. Yeah. It's like when you're speaking, I'm seeing like a chalkboard in my head of like a new age math equation of like radical self-reliance plus radical gifting equals eternal abundance. Because what's really important here to know about the principle of gifting is this isn't bartering. There's a big difference. Bartering is transactional. I give you 4 of these, you give me 2 of those, they equal the same in value, which is a lot of how old civilization used to survive. And I would even argue how modern civilization survives. It's an extractive, transactional mindset. Is the score equal, right? But with gifting, you give. And on top of that, you're so self-reliant that you don't need to receive a thing. And from that space, from that deep trust in the wisdom of the playa, but ultimately the wisdom of source, spirit, the universe, you will always be provided for. They say the playa always provides, So it's like, I think we really can learn about what abundance is in this container. Well, that was what I really felt so strongly this Burning Man was like, I felt the upper limits of what I believe is possible when it comes to abundance, when it comes to magic and synchronicity, when it comes to collaboration, when it comes to connection, when it comes to love. Like I really felt like there were upper limits being dissolved, because it did feel like I mean, just to give you guys an example, it's like we were, like I set the intention when I got there that I really wanted to run into my business partner, Mike Klein. My business partner, Mike, is one of the kookiest, most fun, amazing human beings I know. We love you, Mike, if you're listening. And Mike built a giant peanut butter and jelly art car with memory foam wings and passes out peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, gluten-free, of course, on the playa, gourmet on the playa. And that's what his thing is. So he drives around this giant car that he built with his hands. He's a mechanic. And and he just gives out stuff. And the first night I got there, I was like, I would love to see Mike, but I don't want to force it. I don't want to go to his camp and try and make it happen. Like I would just, and there's, mind you guys, there's 80,000 people at this camp in this experience.
6 mile radius.
6 mile radius. It's hard to just, it's not easy to just run into people. But we set the intention, and then we got on our bikes and we started going out, just exploring. Lo and behold, 5 minutes after we left our camp, we run into Mike's art car, and it's right there. It's got this giant sandwiches sign just rotating, and I lost it. And I'd love to say that was the only time that happened, but it was like,
no, it was not.
It was just constant where we would set an intention, and then that intention would come alive, or some type of experience would happen that would just blow our hearts open. And there were so many moments of magic like that really showed me, like, when we allow ourselves to dream, when we allow ourselves to be in that intention and really dare to trust, like the capital H, her, which showed up in the form of the playa, like she does provide. She always provides. And that was, I think, one of the more powerful, like, just so many moments of like, again,
I think what's really important about that story that you shared is like, it wasn't just like a passive, I hope to see Mike tonight. Before we all, I think there were like 5 or 6 of us in our RV, before we headed out, you said to the group collectively, you said a prayer. Hey, guys, I would love for us to like really hone in on my desire to see Mike. So it was like you shared it, you were witness in it, it was amplified. Like ritual amplifies intention. And Burning Man is, I mean, if you've ever looked at it from above, a satellite, it's a grid. It is an altar. It is one big ritual. And so anything that you speak into this space will be amplified 1,000x. And I think it's like a beautiful microcosm of the macrocosm of life, that everything we do in life outside of the playa with intention through the alchemy of ritual is amplified richly.
I'm so grateful that you brought up ritual, because I think that intention and ritual, it just felt like the entire playa was oozing with it. I mean, not everything. Obviously, there was definitely like, Burning Man is all of it, right? Like there's the unconscious partying and all the natures of that's just there. Like it can be one giant big party, all the way to the other side where there's the sacred and the reverent and the ritual and the workshops. And like, to me, like, but what underneath it all is the intentional, creative ritual that is Burning Man. Like the crazy costumes, and like just seeing so many people so radically expressed, and to see children there. Oh my gosh, like communal. I'd love for you to share your moment with that little boy. Like it was so, just so many like little things of authenticity.
Yeah. Little glimmers of sweetness and like subtleties. Like what's interesting about Burning Man is there's so much bigness. There's so many bright lights and $1 million art cars and loud bass music emanating from the deep playa. And there's the subtle moments that we can notice and pay attention to, which actually for me were the most profound. Like you and I were coming off of the most beautiful adventure, and it was time to go to the porta potty. And after I was finished, there was a little boy. He was probably like 7 or 8. He had his little backpack. All of his front teeth were missing. And he just had the biggest smile. And you and I were in such a heart open space. And his parents were actually like background material. Like this little boy was foreground, front and center. And he was just like smiling at us. And I was like, hi. And he was like, it's my firstborn. And I was like, oh my God, me too. And like in that moment, I met him in the 8-year-old. And he met me in my 8-year-old. I wasn't a 39-year-old woman to him. You know, he could see the love and the purity in my heart. And he just kept on going on and on and on about all his friends in school and all their birthdays. And, you know, just he was in his own world of wonder. And I had the gift through the playa of meeting him in his actual everyday reality. You know, that was like one of the most profound moments for me, was his sweetness and his innocence and his purity.
Yeah, and the essence, right? Like it's like when I really tune in, like the permission that the playa gives for us to amplify our essence and to be in that simplicity and to be in the truth of who we are and to share it and express it and allow it to be seen and then for it to be met and held and reciprocated and played with. I mean, our inner children were out the whole time in this.
And they were holding hands, riding bikes.
It was just so
Weibo
much.
walking.
It's so and I especially for the work we do, right? Like we support people and going deeper into themselves, and that journey can have a lot of prickliness. It can be a journey of like density and moving through the density and holding space and all the things. But what was so profound about the magic of just allowing ourselves to play our way into wellness, play our way into freedom, play our way into expansion, play our way into our essence. And for that to be alchemy, for that to be healing, for that to be so nourishing to the system, just continuing to access our inner children was medicine.
Yes. Curiosity, discovery, exploration, wonder, awe. It reminds me of the Sanskrit word lila, which means divine play. And that actually play is a spiritual practice, We had so much fun playing together and blowing bubbles.
It's just blowing bubbles and moments and like I also want to bring awareness to just like the playa isn't just all fun and games. It's also like you're in the desert. You're in a desert that in some ways wants to take you out. Right. So there's this like survival edge there. And I remembered us getting caught out in the middle of, this was we were already super, I'll just give a summary and then I want to hear your side of this because I know that we had different experiences of this, very different experiences of this, but I would say one of the more prickly, challenging moments on the playa it's on day 7, it was the last day being there and we are exhausted. I mean, like not much sleep, like staying out till sunrise, like just lots of, and not really having proper showers. And it's just like your body takes on a lot being out there in the dust and you're breathing in dust and it's a whole thing. And on the last day, they do this ritual, which is called the temple burn. For those of you who don't know what the temple is a space at the playa, it's like a ritual space where everyone comes to honor things that they're letting go, people that have passed away, and really like grieve the loss of it. And it's a really, really, really potent space. And on the last day of Burning Man, they burn the temple, which is to really symbolize like kind of burning away of all those aspects. It's a ritualistic way to let go of whatever emotion we are holding on to. And after that happened, it was so crazy. Like it's like doing that some way, like it activated a dust storm. And now all of a sudden, like it just got so windy and so dusty and like we couldn't see 10 feet in front of us. And, we were ready to go back to our camp and we started like going back and, I thought we were going the right way and, we're riding a bike. It's super dark outside. You can't see anything. You can't see anyone in front of us. I can't see anybody else's bikes. There's no like compass, like North Star, like this is where you go. Like,
yeah, because the man burned.
Because like, they were starting to take things down because it was the last day of Burning Man, which they took down. Also, Burning Man, like there's a giant man, which is usually pointing as like a compass, but we burned the man the night before. And so I didn't know where I was going. And I thought I knew where we were going. And for like 2 hours, we're biking and all of a sudden it's just really dark and we're stuck inside of this dust storm. And I'm like, okay, we're lost. We are lost. I didn't say that.
I was going to say, I don't remember you saying that part.
I didn't say that, but I think I had a feeling that we were lost. And out of nowhere, then we somehow eventually got to light. And we realized that we went in a giant circle. And we rode for about 2 hours on our bikes, thinking we were going home, but we actually went in a giant circle.
And ended up right back at the temple.
And ended up right back at the temple. And it was just yeah, I don't know if you want to share your experience, but
I mean, for me, like, this was one of the pinnacle moments of Burning Man. In hindsight, like, there was so much richness from this like fertile void of being lost in the abyss of the dust and like,
and darkness.
And the darkness and like, 80,000 people, the temple burns, there's complete silence and like the reverence and the grief and the honoring. And really this ceremony is the releasing part of the bless and release, and to be in that post void silent moment was like really profound. And then we were on our way back and literally could not see where we were going. And it brought back this like almost past life experience for me of like being lost at sea. It's like the mind knows like we're going to be okay. Like at the end of the day, there was a fence around this whole experience. Like we cannot get lost. But then the nervous system and all the survival pieces are like, we're not okay.
Totally.
And it kicks off the inner child and it kicks off being terrified and alone and nobody's here. And like, it's really just moving through that process. And we even took a nap on the floor of the playa, an art installation for 30 minutes. And like, it was really beautiful because it just surfaced like in this moment, I could panic. I could get angry with my partner. I could cry. I could have a breakdown in this moment, or I can choose peace and trust and surrender. Surrender in the man that's leading me and guiding us through this dust storm, and surrender in the overall thing that I can't really ever get lost on this path. And ultimately, we ended up right back where we started, at the burning temple.
Yeah, and it was, for me, I think this whole experience is a incredible resilience training ground. Like, it's the best way I like to put it. Like, it's in every way, whether it's survival, whether it's emotional, whether it's like being able to like it's a test of just resiliency. And like, I feel like there were so many moments like these that just tested resilience.
Yeah.
And it allowed us to really move through deeper layers of alchemy so that we can step into more of our magic. And like, I feel like that really set and aligned with this intention of surrender. Like when we actually say surrender, like the reason why I believe most people are afraid of surrender is because they're afraid of what a path of surrender is going to bring up within them. And what emotions you might have to face, what experiences you might call in when you don't have control. And for me, this whole experience was really coming back to like, even that dust storm, how was this medicine?
Yes, totally.
It's not something I signed up for. It's certainly not something I wanted. It's certainly not something that we were hoping to experience on the last night. We wanted to go do the other things. We wanted, it was, like, but here we are experiencing this.
Yeah.
And instead of fighting it, can we allow it? Can we actually find the bliss in this?
Yeah.
And easier said than done. But to me, that is actually like the greatest metaphor for life, right? Like we move through life and we get these experiences and we get dealt these cards and we get dealt these opportunities. We might want something else, but can we allow ourselves to be touched and moved by life in such a way that it inspires a new way, a new path that is more true for you? And burning. It was one of the most transformative. Like this was for me just such a transformational container, and felt like a medicine journey, to be honest.
Of course. And I want to just speak a little bit more to what you just shared, because it's like this. We spoke a little bit about the medicine of the children and the innocence and the play and the joy and the wonder and the awe. And on the other spectrum, like Burning Man is a maturation ceremony. At least it was for me. And what I released at the actual temple burn, when you and I went that morning and we put our intentions to be burned in the temple, like I prayed that here and now, in this now moment, may any fragments, any remnants left in my bones, my DNA, my womb of entitlement and expectation be burned in the fires. And may I learn how to dive even more deeply into devotion and desire. And so immediately, temple burns and I got offered an experience. Do I choose entitlement or devotion in this moment? Do I choose entitlement? My partner should know where we're going. My outfit's dirty. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I'm tired. Why are we lost? No. Devotion. I'm devoted to finding our way back home. I'm devoted to co-creating that with him, with you. I'm devoted to staying calm and peace and soft and surrendered. And I'm devoted to finding the medicine in this experience. So it's like, that's what I loved about the full spectrum experience of Burning Man is like youth and the wisdom and the innocence of being a child and the maturation and radical self-responsibility of if you want and desire an experience, go get it and let yourself have it.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much that we didn't get to experience. Like that's the thing. Like
you gotta go again.
That's the thing. It's literally just the biggest playground on the planet. Like there's hot air balloons flying off. There's sunrise. There's karaoke. There's sunrise. The most epic sunrise DJ sets. There's most beautiful, moving, awe-inspiring art. There's people of all socioeconomic backgrounds that you wouldn't even know, like you couldn't tell between who's who. Like there's just every range of workshop. Like we went to some incredible workshops. Like so many absurd,
sacred.
It was a dance between just the profound and the profane.
Yeah.
Like it was a dance between it all. Like just
and how the sacred exists in both and all of it.
Yeah. And the medicine of it. And I to be honest, like it was just such a special experience with you. Like I'm just like it just brought us so much deeper in connection and it really helped. I feel like these types of experiences, doing them with your partner, where it does force everything. It forces preparation. It forces surrender. It forces.
Well, you did most of the prepping.
I did, and you did most of the magic and most of the beautifying and the play, and so I adore you. I appreciate you, and having these experiences with you are just so special and meaningful for me, and the fact that we both get to grow together and to have these experiences as things to look back on and things to look forward to are just really, really, really special.
I'm curious, I would be curious to hear from you how Burning Man shifted your relationship to our relationship, and then more on a meta scale, what you took home from Burning Man.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, going into Burning Man, for me in my relationship, like I have been working diligently to open my heart as much as I can to what's here and now. And I have saboteurs, and I have self-sabotaging parts that want to prevent something amazing from happening. Or when things get too good, I come in and I try and sprinkle little bits of doubt and insecurity and fear and worry and control. And, for me going into Burning Man, it was like, how can I allow myself to melt it all away? Can I let myself be in love? Can I let myself experience the bliss of our relationship, which is blissful and it's beautiful and radiant? Can I allow myself to receive your love and your nourishment? Can I allow myself to receive, which I think is the ultimate meta? How deeply can I allow myself to receive? Mm-hmm. And that to me has been my journey, is to integrate the feminine into my life, to receive feminine nourishment in my life. And I'm not saying feminine in the form of you, but feminine, the energy, the ma, the overarching sort of watery nature of the divine feminine. And how many ways can I allow it to permeate me, to move me, to shape me, to to empower my man, to activate my man, to charge my man. So I'm not doing from a space of doing. I'm doing from a space of being, from a space of depth, from a space of heart, from a space of connectedness. And that's really ultimately, I think, what this burn really opened up and empowered. It's what our relationship has been opening up and empowering me, a deeper attunement to the feminine and a receptivity to the feminine and an allowing of feminine magic in my life. And that, and that's been wildly transformative and uncomfortable. I haven't been the best at receiving without some level of condition.
Yeah.
I must do this to receive love. I must achieve this to be happy.
Transactional.
I must do this to be happy. And being a Burning Man, it's like, no, I just had it to be at the right place at the right time to receive a gift of monumental significance. I didn't have to be anything other than in love with you for someone to come up to us and give us gifts for just being smushy and lovey. Like,
and true and authentic.
And true. There was no doing to receive love. It was just being. And that anchoring, that reinforcement is so transformative and powerful. And I think that to me is what Burning Man was. That's what the days after Burning Man was. That's what the days leading up to Burning Man were creating the material for. Like, it was just a transformational container for me to access more depth and capacity for receiving.
Yeah. I would say for me, like, a lot of these stories I'll keep in the intimacy of my own heart, but like, I went to Burning Man ultimately to forget who I was. And then in the days that followed and in the contraction that occurred for me at Burning Man, there was so much expansion and like a returning and a remembering of my deepest essence and the essence of which I saw reflected in so many other people, and so can we be willing to just be humbled by the initiations of Burning Man? Because it is so much more than sunrise DJ sets and face paint.
It's so much more than a party and a festival. It's truly an immersive, transformative experience that will change the fabric of who you are if you allow it.
Yes. And such is life.
Comes the allowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved being in the dust with you.
Oh my God, it was
holding
so much
hands, riding our bikes, looking over at you, being like, we're 9 years old right now. And one of my favorite pieces was like, yes, Burning Man is like this absurd, wild experience. And I just felt more of you deeply. I didn't even feel you any differently. I just felt more of you more fully. Yeah. And that was really beautiful to experience and allowed me to receive you more.
So good. Baby, it was just special. Thank you for sharing just I hear your reflection a lot, but I love having you on the show because you just have such a depth to the way you see things. Like, it's like, I haven't heard half of these reflections. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is juice. Like, I love this. Like, I'm like, I learned so much from you in your own process of contemplation and reflection. And it's one of my favorite parts about you. One of 1,000, but it's
contemplation.
Like the contemplations that you have as you are allowing life to digest and move. And so thank you again for being here with me and for sharing so much of you. And I just love you so much. And I'm so grateful that we get to do life together and we get to have these experiences and we get to share and play. And
thanks for being the best playa daddy.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So anyways, everybody, that's a wrap for this week's episode of Stay Grounded. I'm your host, Raj. This is your old friend, Natalie. And from us, stay grounded. We'll chat soon. Thanks for joining us today on this super wacky episode of us talking about Burning Man on Stay Grounded. I hope it was enriching, enlivening, and I hope it helps you connect back to your own essence and potentially inspire you to look for experiences like this in your life, whether it's Burning Man or anything that allows you to access the medicine of authenticity and receiving and transformation these types of immersive experiences are everything. And so I encourage you to find them. And I encourage you to continue prioritizing this kooky little self-discovery journey that just keeps getting better and better and better. All right. I love you guys. Until next time.